Let's begin. They say pain has a sound. Some swear it's the silence that lingers afterward. For me, it was neither. It was the echo of laughter that wasn't mine, the sound of champagne glasses clinking over my loyalty being shattered. My name is Caleb Monroe, and everything you're about to hear happened because I believed love meant sacrifice, trust was sacred, and hard work always paid off. I was wrong. I was the guy who stayed late when everyone clocked out. Not because I needed to, because I wanted to. My whole life revolved around building something I could be proud of: financial security, emotional stability, and a future paved in sweat and patience. I was one of the youngest senior analysts at Westford Equity, a place where dreams were currency and ambition devoured the lazy. And back home, I had Tessa Harrington, my wife, my best friend, the woman who once kissed the bruises on my knuckles after a tough day and whispered, "You're everything." We met at a coffee shop. Classic, right? I spilled her latte, and she smiled instead of swearing. That smile, I built a future around it. Or so I thought. The annual Westford Gala wasn't just a party. It was the Coliseum where promotions were won, where names turned into legends. This year, I was a guaranteed lock for Director of Risk and Portfolio Strategy, a title that had eluded people twice my age. I've been working for this night for years, and she was going to be right beside me, wearing the midnight blue dress I bought her for our 5th anniversary. She always joked it was too fancy for someone like me. But that night, when she stepped out of the car, all elegance and fire, every man turned his head. She clung to my arm. Her lips brushed my cheek. "Let's go make history, Mr. Monroe." And we did, just not the kind I expected. Inside, golden chandeliers spilled warm light across glass staircases and velvet-covered seats. I introduced Tessa to board members, partners, fund managers. As always, she charmed the room like she'd swallowed stars. Everyone loved her, especially one man, Grant Maddox, my direct superior, the youngest executive VP in the firm's history. Sharp suits, slick voice, the kind of arrogance that wears cologne. I caught her staring at him. Once, then again. It was the kind of stare that made the blood behind my ears boil. Not innocent admiration. No, this was something else. Curiosity. Intrigue. Lust, maybe? I brushed it off. I had to. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was imagining things. That's what I told myself as her laugh reached him before it reached me. As her hand lingered on his shoulder longer than necessary during introductions. As his eyes followed her the way wolves follow wounded prey. Then came the dance floor. I was networking, talking with 2 senior partners when I noticed her chair was empty. She wasn't at the bar, not on the balcony, not near the bathroom. But Grant was gone too. I excused myself. Something inside my chest began to twist. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was confused. Dread was replacing oxygen. Then I heard it. Muffled laughter. 2 voices. A soft moan. No, Caleb. You're being paranoid. Except I wasn't. The hallway behind the wine cellar was usually locked, staff access only. But that night, it stood slightly ajar. A sliver of dim, flickering light broke the shadows. My hand gripped my phone. I opened the camera. Hit record. My fingers trembled. I pushed the door, and the world split in half. Tessa, her dress hiked, her back against the shelf. Grant's hands running up her thighs like he owned them. Her lips on his neck. It wasn't just physical, it was passionate. Familiar. It was practiced. She gasped when she saw me. Her expression cracked like shattered glass. "See, Caleb, this isn't." I didn't speak. I didn't scream. I let the phone keep rolling, the silence louder than any words I could offer. Grant tried to talk. "Listen, man." My fist landed square on his cheekbone. He dropped like dead weight, and I dragged him, bloodied and shocked, out of that hallway and into the ballroom. Everything slowed. Music stopped. Conversations froze. I tossed him into the center like a failed circus act. I stepped onto the mic. "You all want to know who Grant Maddox really is." My voice didn't tremble. "He's the one sleeping with my wife. While I was building this company, while I was sacrificing everything, he was screwing me over in more ways than one." Gasps. Disbelief. Someone dropped a glass. Tessa ran out seconds later, her heels clicking in a panic. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there. Hollow. Then whispered, "Please." I turned. I walked. And I never looked back. I didn't cry that night. Tears are for grief. What I felt. That wasn't grief. It was acid in my veins, boiling in silence. I drove home in the dark, no music, no thoughts. Just headlights bouncing off wet pavement, and one question spinning endlessly in my head. How long had this been happening? Tessa and I, we weren't perfect, but I thought we were real. I worked late, yes, but I never forgot anniversaries. I never missed a birthday. I kissed her forehead every morning, packed her favorite snacks when she was sick, rubbed her feet when she was too tired to talk. I gave her everything I had. Apparently, it wasn't enough. The house was dark when I arrived. Our house, a two-story colonial with white shutters and a porch swing we never used. It had always felt like home. But that night, it felt like a lie. I stepped inside, and the silence hit me like a freight train. Every creak of the floorboard felt like betrayal. Every photo on the wall mocked me. Laughing frames of our wedding, her in a sundress in Italy, me holding her on the beach. I tore the biggest one off the wall. The frame cracked in my hands. The glass sliced my palm. I didn't feel it. Upstairs, the bed still looked made. Like no one had slept in it. Or like someone had been too busy doing something else. I opened the closet. Her scent hit me. Vanilla, soft and sickening. I grabbed a suitcase and threw in shirts, socks, essentials. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was acting on instinct. I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay. My phone buzzed for the 7th time that night. Tessa. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. And again. It wasn't until I zipped the suitcase that I heard the front door slam open. Caleb. Her voice was ragged. Desperate. She rushed up the stairs like she'd just been chased by death itself. Her mascara was smeared, her breath coming in sharp gasps. Please, just wait. I turned, slowly, like facing a ghost. You shouldn't be here, I said, my voice cold. Foreign. I didn't mean, it wasn't like that. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. You weren't meaning to let him bury his hands up your dress. Funny because from what I saw, you looked pretty into it. Tessa staggered, words failing her. Her hands reached for me. I stepped back. Don't, I whispered. Don't you dare touch me. She collapsed onto the edge of the bed, tears gushing now. I messed up, Caleb. I made a mistake. One horrible, stupid mistake. How long? She didn't answer. How long, Tessa? Her lips parted, then closed again. I nodded slowly. That was all the answer I needed. You're not sorry. You're just sorry you got caught. No, that's not true. Caleb, I love you. I still love you. You don't get to say that. My voice cracked. You don't get to say that after everything. Please, don't leave me. But I was already walking down the stairs. She followed, grabbing my arm. We can fix this. No, I said. You already burned it down. And now I'm walking away from the ashes. I didn't slam the door behind me. I closed it. Soft. Final. I checked into a hotel that night. A cold box of a room with buzzing lights and a rattling AIC. I lay in the darkness, fully clothed, my mind replaying the last 6 years of my life like some cruel slideshow. First dates, wedding vows, nights we made love with laughter in our mouths. And then Grant, his hand on her hip, her mouth on his throat. I thought about the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. That stupid little habit she always did when she was nervous or when she wanted to seduce someone. I used to find it endearing. Now I hated it. By morning, I wasn't broken. I was cold, and that coldness gave me clarity. I walked into the law office of Samantha Wexler, one of the most ruthless divorce attorneys in the city. She didn't offer small talk. She didn't fake sympathy. Tell me everything, she said, flipping open her notepad. So I did. I told her about the gala, about the affair, about the betrayal. She didn't blink. When I showed her the video, she nodded once. We'll take her for everything. I didn't want everything. I just wanted her to feel it. The sting of consequence. The collapse of comfort. I wanted her to sit in the mess she made and suffer. But first, there was Grant. He didn't just sleep with my wife. He humiliated me professionally. I could have gone to HR. But I had something better. Leverage. 3 days later, I walked into Westford Equity like I owned the place. Grant was holding court in the lounge, surrounded by interns, fake laughing, sipping espresso like nothing happened. I waited until he saw me. He froze. Then I smiled. That same smile he wore when he thought he got away with it. Morning, Grant. Caleb, listen, man, about that night. I know exactly what that night was. I stepped in closer, my voice low. I've already sent a copy of the video to HR. the board, and my legal counsel. But here's the fun part. Tessa isn't the only woman you flirted with in this company, is she? His eyes widened. What are you talking about? I've spoken to 3 different women in the last 48 hours. You think no one notices when the VP suddenly promises raises after late-night meetings? His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Internal Affairs opened a file this morning. I continued. By next week, you won't be able to get hired to wipe tables at a startup. He reached for my arm. I slapped it away. This isn't over, he growled. Oh, it is, I whispered. And it's only just begun. I left him standing there, pale, cornered, alone, just like I planned. That evening, I received an email from Peggy Moran, head of human resources. We've received serious complaints and evidence involving Grant Maddox. Effective immediately, he is suspended pending internal investigation. We'll keep you updated. I didn't smile. Revenge doesn't taste sweet. It tastes like justice. And I wasn't finished yet. 3 weeks. That's how long it took for everything to come crashing down. Grant Maddox was terminated from Westford with zero fanfare and a public announcement from HR about violations of ethical conduct. That was just the official statement. The real damage? That happened in whispers. Whispers that traveled through boardrooms, across private Slack messages, at after-hours dinners between partners. He went from executive darling to predator in a suit, and he deserved every second of it. I didn't have to lift another finger. But Tessa? She was still trying. She called twice a day, texted, left voicemails that started with soft apologies and ended in screaming sobs. I didn't answer a single one. I didn't need to, because the longer she spiraled, the more she showed her hand. One evening, I returned to the house, not to see her, but to collect some things I'd left behind. Childhood journals, a photo album I'd hidden in my nightstand drawer, a signed watch my father gave me before he died. When I pulled into the driveway, there it was, a sleek silver coupe I didn't recognize parked right out front. I knew that car. Grant's. For a moment, I just sat in the driver's seat, watching it, my grip tightening around the wheel. I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. Rage was too clean. What I felt now was calculation. I stepped out and walked up the porch like I owned it. Because I did. She was still legally my wife. And that house, still half mine. I opened the door. Silence. No TV. No music. Just the faint, unmistakable sound of skin against skin, buried beneath soft moans and mattress creaks coming from upstairs. I walked calmly up the staircase, straight down the hallway, and then I opened the door. There they were. Tessa, naked, sweat slicked, laughing into his neck. Grant, pale as death when he saw me. He tried to move. I didn't stop him. She grabbed the blanket and scrambled back like I was a ghost. See, Caleb, wait. I'm not here to fight, I said calmly. I just needed the last piece. The last piece of what? She hissed, voice venomous, the act finally cracking. I gave her a slow smile. Of who you really are. She blinked, confused for a moment. But I could see it then, fear. It was faint, but it was there. I left without another word. This time, I didn't need evidence. I had all I needed. Back in my apartment, I began the final phase of my plan. Reclamation. I wasn't going to rebuild. I was going to rise. From nothing. Without her. Without the weight of her betrayal dragging behind me like a broken anchor. 6 months passed. In that time, Tessa's messages stopped being emotional. They turned desperate. Then manipulative. You're being dramatic. One mistake and you throw everything away. You'll never find someone who loves you like I did. We were magic. You can't just erase us. I didn't reply. I didn't even block her. Silence is a punishment more devastating than anger. Meanwhile, the company circled the drain without Grant. Internal scandals surfaced. Boardroom confidence collapsed. I watched quietly from a distance. Then one night, at 11:48 p.m., a new message came in. From an unknown number. Please, Caleb, I need to talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't even hesitate. I deleted it. But her regret wasn't the final chapter. No, not even close. One morning, as I left my apartment, a letter slid beneath my door. No return address. No signature. Inside was a single photograph. Tessa, sitting on a bench, holding her head in her hands, face buried in her palms. Behind her, an eviction notice pinned to the apartment wall. She had lost the house. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. But inside, a quiet voice said, good. Weeks later, I was at a fundraiser for a youth finance literacy program. I'd been invited to speak about financial recovery, how to rebuild after losing everything. The irony wasn't lost on me. After the speech, I stood near the bar sipping water when I felt a presence behind me. Caleb. I turned. There she was. Tessa. Except this wasn't the Tessa I knew. Her makeup was thinner, but not by choice. Her eyes were sunken. Her coat was nice, but the seams were fraying. Her nails were unpainted, raw. Her hair was tied in a rushed bun. Still beautiful, but hollow. What are you doing here? I asked flatly. My friend. She works in the kitchen staff. I helped her prep. I didn't know you'd be speaking. She paused, then said softer, You look good. I didn't respond. She stepped closer. I heard about your promotion. So now, right? I shrugged. For a while. I was happy for you. She whispered. No, you weren't, I replied. You were waiting for it to fall apart, so you could feel less guilty. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I know what I did was unforgivable, she said. But I meant it, Caleb. When I said I loved you, even if I ruined it. You didn't ruin it, I said. She blinked. I buried it. Her mouth quivered. I want to see you. I miss you. Then, she reached in her pocket and pulled out something that stunned me. A note, folded neatly. My name written on it. I wrote this the day after you left, she said. I never sent it. I wasn't ready to say it out loud. But you should have it. I took it. Not because I needed it. Because closure wears many disguises. As she turned to leave, I called her name once more. Tessa. She stopped. Next time you want to love someone, learn what loyalty means first. That night, I didn't open the letter. I didn't need to. Because some stories don't need endings. Just exits. 2 years. That's how long it took for me to completely disappear from the man I used to be. Not forget. No, I remembered everything. But I had evolved past it. I moved cities. Switched firms. Became an independent financial strategist, consulting for elite private clients and underground investors. The kind of work that paid for silence and demanded precision. Tessa had become a name I hadn't spoken in almost 18 months. Until a mutual acquaintance, a soft-spoken attorney named Nina Farrow, mentioned her over coffee one morning. Do you still speak to your ex? The question caught me off guard. I blinked. No. She hesitated, then slid a file across the table. Inside were court documents. Tessa Harrington was being sued. Fraud, embezzlement, real estate scam, partnering with someone who promised her fast-track investment deals. She funneled money from a joint trust she once opened under both our names, one I had emptied long ago, but apparently she kept open to impress investors. I leaned back, eyebrows raised. She's drowning, Nina said, and she doesn't know you're the one who's been sinking her, piece by piece. I smiled for the first time in months. Because now we could finish it. Let me back up. You see, I never wanted to destroy Tessa immediately. That would have been too easy, too merciful. I wanted her to rot slowly. And to do that, I needed her to believe she still had power. So after the affair, after the stage confrontation, I hired a digital forensics firm. They tracked every financial move she made, every shady partnership, every startup she tried to be part of, every man she flirted with to build her next ladder. And when she made the mistake of using my name, even as a silent co-signer on paperwork, I started pulling strings, freezing accounts, exposing deals, leaking her half-written proposals to competitors. She never saw it coming. She thought it was bad luck, a market crash, bad timing. It was me, every time, quiet, patient, cold. One night, Nina called again. She filed for bankruptcy this morning, personal and professional. She's renting a basement unit in Glen Point, alone, credit shot, no family left. I nodded, and for the first time, I almost felt pity, almost. But then I remembered. The laughter, the dress, the way she reached for Grant's belt like it was muscle memory. And I knew. This wasn't vengeance. It was justice. 3 months later, I got a call from my doorman. There's a woman downstairs asking for you. Says her name is Tessa Monroe. I paused. Let her up. She walked into my penthouse lobby like a ghost of herself. No heels. No makeup. Jeans frayed at the knees. Hair stringy, tucked into a knit cap. But her eyes still manipulative. Still dangerous. I need your help, she said. My smile was razor sharp. I know. She blinked. I know everything, Tessa. Every shell company you funnel money into. Every wire you try to redirect. Every signature you faked. All of it. Her mouth opened. No words. You're lucky I didn't press criminal charges, I added, stepping closer. But you want to know why I didn't? She nodded, trembling. Because watching you fail on your own was more satisfying than any court sentence could ever be. She sank into the velvet chair beside the wall, head in her hands. I had nothing, she whispered. And I thought if I could just win again, just find a shortcut back, I'd forget what I did to you. I crouched in front of her. Shortcuts only work if you never cut through someone who knew the whole road better than you. Her tears spilled. I didn't love him, she sobbed. Not really. I stood. But you betrayed me. Really. And then I said the words she never thought I'd say. I forgive you. She looked up, eyes wide. You what? I forgive you. But I don't forget. And I don't trust. And I don't want anything from you. Not your apologies. Not your guilt. Not your broken dreams. She didn't speak. She just sobbed. I opened the door. This is the last time you ever see me, Tessa. And when you think of me, I hope it haunts you. She didn't argue. She just walked out. And I never saw her again. It took me a long time to love again. But it came when I wasn't looking. Her name was Eliana. A gentle, sarcastic soul with ink-stained fingers and a laugh that sounded like peace. She didn't ask about my past. She let it unfold on its own. And when I finally told her about Tessa, about Grant, about the betrayal and the long, slow revenge that followed, she didn't flinch. She didn't pity. She just said, that kind of pain doesn't make you cold. It makes you focused. And for the first time since the night of the gala, I felt warm. Eliana and I moved in together a year later. She taught writing at a local university. I took fewer clients and started speaking more. Seminars, conferences, even TEDx talks. I told people how to rebuild after devastation. Not just finances, but soul. I never once mentioned Tessa by name. She didn't deserve that kind of immortality. Years passed. One autumn morning, while reading in a coffee shop, a headline caught my eye. Disgraced former executive's ex-wife arrested in check fraud scheme. It was Tessa. Mugshot dull. Eyes tired. Charges pending. I folded the newspaper, left a tip, and walked out without reading the rest. Because it didn't matter anymore. Her story ended years ago. I now live in a house filled with warmth. Not secrets. My closet is filled with clothes that smell like lavender, not lies. My dinners are cooked slowly, with conversation and wine, not silence and tension. And every night, Eliana kisses my scars, not to erase them, but to remind me that I survived. Revenge isn't always fire. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's building a life so radiant, so peaceful, so untouchable, that the people who try to break you are forced to watch from the shadows of the life they chose. And me? I never once went back to that ballroom, because I no longer needed proof of who I am. I look in the mirror every day and see the man who didn't just lose everything. He rebuilt it. Stronger, colder, but better.